Derek, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about your work. Let's start off. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and your background and how you got involved in Christian Legal Fellowship?
Sure. Well, thanks so much for inviting me today, Christine, and Happy New Year to you and to all of your viewers.
Yes, Happy New
Um,
Year.
Thank you. So, by way of background, I'm a constitutional lawyer. But even before I became a lawyer, even before I went to law school, I was always interested in religious freedom as a person of faith. I was always interested in how the law interacted with faith communities and also how religion interacted with the law. So when I started law school, I was really excited to learn that there was this community at my law school on campus called Christian Legal Fellowship, a group of students that were also interested in those issues, but more importantly, also wanting to examine how our faith can inform and connect to our work and really enhance our work as lawyers that are really called to serve the public, to serve our clients and our communities. And so connecting those dots between faith and law was something that really drew me to the work of Christian Legal Fellowship. I practiced in private practice for a number of years before joining the organization as executive director in 2015.
So, can you expand a little bit on what the goal is of the CLF? What is the mission of your organization?
Sure. Yeah. So at its heart, Christian Legal Fellowship exists really for what that group of students existed for at law school, which is to provide a space for people to come together and explore the intersection of their faith, their core belief commitments, with their work as people that are called to uphold the rule of law, to advance justice, to serve their clients, and to try to bring reconciliation and restoration to disputes. And so, those are things that some people might think that law and religion don't mix, but there are a lot of principles from our faith traditions, not just Christianity, but other faith traditions as well, that are very much consistent with the goals of our legal system, which is to advance justice. And
Hmm.
so CLF does that both at an individual level by working with law students and lawyers and helping them practice law in a way that is consistent with their core ethical commitments, but also in collectively as a group of lawyers and law students advocating for justice and participating in public policy dialogue and legislative consultations and in court interventions, where we as a group of lawyers come together and work with other groups and contribute our voice to this larger conversation of what does justice require in our free and democratic society.
Such a valuable perspective. Now, the CLF also does what's known as interventions, which is where they appear in the court but not as a party. So, can you explain for our viewers what interventions mean? What's their role in the judicial system? And what role Christian Legal Fellowship plays when they decide to take on an intervention?
Yeah, absolutely, Christine. So the traditional court case really involves two parties, typically, a plaintiff and a defendant. And largely, in most cases, the court is asked to resolve a dispute between those two parties. Sometimes there's more parties, but it's really often a private dispute. And the outcome typically impacts those parties that are part of the dispute. But in
Mhm.
some cases, especially in constitutional cases where the court is being asked to interpret the Charter of Rights and Freedoms or engage in a consideration of issues that have broad implications. The court recognizes that its decision might impact more than just the parties in front of it and might have wide, far reaching effects for
Mhm.
Canadian society as a whole.
Yeah,
And so, what
and that's when an intervener comes in and they provide some assistance to the court by showing these alternative perspectives. Now we've got to go to break, but I want to dig into that further when we're back.
absolutely.